Thank you for being with us this evening. Entrance into a holy place is only really possible when, by the Lord's mercy, our hearts are opened with faith and devotion. Then we can access and genuinely appreciate the unlimited good fortune that we have. Premanjana churita bhakti vilochanena. The Brahma Samhita tells us that when our eyes are decorated with prema, with spiritual love, then we can actually see Krishna personally. Bhaktyatvananya shakya aham evam vidurarjuna. Bhagavad Gita tells it is only by bhakti, by unmotivated, uninterrupted loving service, that I can be seen as I am, standing before you. Je jatha mam prapadyante tam sthathaiva bhajamyaham. As we surrender, as we approach Krishna, Krishna reveals himself accordingly. And Vrindavan is the manifested expansion of Krishna's own pastimes and pleasure potency. Vrindavan is none different from Krishna. According to the sincerity of our devotion, we will actually be able to appreciate it. We read in the lives of the great acharyas how they were living in Vrindavan. He Radhe brajate vake chalalite he nanda shuno kotha. The six Goswamis, day and night, they were seeking Krishna. Seeking Krishna through pleasing Krishna, through the service of Krishna. As Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur taught us, and Srila Prabhupada cited often, do not try to see Krishna. Try to serve Krishna with such sincere devotion that Krishna is pleased to see us. Vrindavan, being Krishna's own expanded self in the form of his abode, is to be understood and approached in the same way. It is through our devotion, through our intense eagerness to serve Krishna, to please Krishna, that we can actually experience the blessing of being in Vrindavan. There are 9 processes of devotional service, of which the foundational platform in which our love of God is built and awakened is Sravanam Kirtanam, hearing and chanting. Simply by hearing these transcendental subject matters with an eager and faithful heart, Sarinvatam Swakata Krishna Punda Sravana Kirtana. Krishna's pleased. It's an act of love. At the beginning, it may be tapasya and austerity, sitting in a lecture, especially when I'm speaking. And when I go overtime, it may be an austerity, but this transcendental sound vibration, which has been passed down from the scriptures through the acharyas, it is transcendental. And when we are eager, enthusiastic to hear, eager and enthusiastic to repeat what we hear, then Krishna within our heart becomes very, very pleased. And when Krishna is pleased, Krishna removes all the obstacles of the modes of passion and ignorance and reveals himself. Shrushrushro Shridanasya Vasudeva Katharuchi Syan Mahat Sevaya Viprapundya Tirtana Sevanat. The Srimad Bhagavatam tells us that we can acquire this eager taste to hear and chant the glories of the Lord when we are eager and sincere to serve great souls. Through satsang, through blessings of great souls, which naturally springs from their hearts when we desire to please them through our service, then the gates to the higher realms of true bhakti are opened from within and without. So let us attentively surrender our consciousness, surrender our very life force, which is manifested through our consciousness, by absorbing ourselves in hearing Krishna's incredible pastimes and teachings. Janma karma cha me divyam evam yoveti tattvata tyaktva deham punara janma naiti mam eti sorajana. One who understands the transcendental nature of Krishna's appearance and activities when he comes into this world never has to take birth again, but attains the supreme abode. Krishna is pavitra. He is supremely pure. And simply by hearing about him, we become purified. Om apavitra pavitro va sarva vastam gato viva yasmarit pundari kaksham sabaya byantara suchi. Whether we are pure or impure, that's something that is a result of the past. There's not much we can do about what has already happened. But there's everything we can do about where we want to go in the present and the future. Simply by remembering Krishna, who's all pure within our hearts, we become purified. And it's so simple. In Vrindavan, we read about the Brijavasis in Srimad Bhagavatam. They were constantly in intimate meditation on Krishna, by speaking about him, by singing about him, by remembering him in every situation, and by chanting his holy names. When Krishna performs his Leelas in this world, he delivers the whole world, the Asuras, the Suras, and everyone else. But through Vyasadeva and the Acharyas in Parampara, they have preserved the sound vibration of the description of his teachings and his pastimes, so that everyone or anyone from anywhere can achieve the same experience as the residents of Vrindavan, simply through hearing, chanting, and remembering in this attitude of seva, or service. Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. It is the greatest benediction, because through this hearing and chanting of the names and the glories of the Lord, through developing the enthusiasm to please and serve the Lord, we could be liberated from all the limitations of material existence, which are especially predominated by birth, old age, disease, and death. Adhyatmaka, Adidaivaka, Adibodhaka. Whoever we are, whatever we have, wherever we're from, the same threefold miseries will come upon us. Miseries of the body and mind, anxiety, sickness, pain. Miseries caused by natural disturbances, heat, cold, earthquakes, winds. Miseries caused by other living beings, humans, family members, insects, monkeys. But through bhakti, through the simple process of hearing and chanting, which has descended from the spiritual world, param drisva nivartate, it's not that necessarily the material situations change, but we change. An ordinary flower in muddy water is very muddy. A lotus flower in the same water is pure and fragrant and untainted by any of the filth. So similarly, even in this world of threefold miseries, even in bodies that are going through all kinds of various transformations, through the grace of Krishna, we can connect with our eternal soul. And that is just a beginning. We can connect with the eternal love of the soul. Param drisva nivartate, and experience the happiness of Krishna's unlimited beauty, Krishna's unlimited wealth, Krishna's unlimited fame and strength, Krishna's unlimited love for us and all living beings. And that's where we take our pleasure from. There is no power anywhere that could disturb that pleasure, because it is transcendental, it is eternal. When Krishna appears in this world, we can't expect him to live by our conceptions of what is possible. We heard from His Holiness Giriraj Swami Maharaj that when Srila Prabhupada gave devotees a very, very inconceivably difficult service, they looked at Srila Prabhupada with utter dismay. And as a matter of fact, they said, Srila Prabhupada, that is impossible. That sounds quite convincing. Srila Prabhupada was even more convincing when he said, impossible is a world in a fool's dictionary. Because in Krishna, there's nothing impossible. Because Krishna has Achintya Shakti, inconceivable potencies. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna teaches us that we're not this body, that we're eternal souls. And he teaches the nature of the relationship between the body and the soul, the Atma, the body, the soul, and God, time, how we're temporarily influenced by karma, how we can disentangle ourselves from karma, and how we can ultimately achieve the highest goal of ecstatic loving service by surrendering to Krishna. Man manabhava mad bhakto madhya shimna namaskuru. And we can surrender Krishna by always thinking of him, becoming his devotee, worshiping him, offer homage to him. In this way, Krishna promises us without fail we will come to him. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna showed Arjuna the Virat Rupa, the incredible, dazzling, universal form. However much progress in technology, no movie makers with the optimal progress in special effects could ever come close to even a trace of what Arjuna saw, the universal form. And we read in Srimad Bhagavatam about how Krishna, as Kapila Dev describes the creation of the material existence and how it works. It's absolutely inconceivable. We already know that. Our greatest scientists cannot fathom the secrets of a single atomic molecular particle. The deeper they go, the more they discover things that are just indescribable. What to speak of the universe itself, its length, its breadth, the various planets, the various life forms and different varieties of different planets. It's unbelievable. And this entire universe, which is just a speck among unlimited universes in the cosmic manifestation, is just a creation that Krishna manifests through an exhalation. God is great. You are exhaling so many times. Every few seconds you're exhaling, and you think you're great, and you think you can become God. What has been created through your exhalations? Maybe a few germs. But Krishna exhales, the cosmic manifestation is created, he inhales, and it's all destroyed. The cause of all causes, Ishvara Parama Krishna, Satchit Ananda Vigraha, Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karuna Karunam. Lord Brahma, who is the secondary creator of our entire universe, who lives 311 trillion years, the father of everyone, his wisdom is revealed that Krishna's body is not a product of illusion. It's not just a temporary manifestation of an impersonal energy. Krishna's beautiful body playing on his flute is Satchit Ananda Vigraha. It is eternal. It is full of all knowledge, and it is full of all bliss. Anadira dir Govinda sarva karana karanam. He's the original source of everything that exists and the cause of all causes. And it is that para Brahman, that supreme Brahman, that appears in this world where we're sitting today in Vrindavan as a little child with all of his full potencies. But all of those potencies are subordinate to his supreme potency, which is prema, or love. Krishna controls his devotees by his love, and in reciprocation, Krishna is controlled by his devotees through our love. So when Krishna performs his leelas in this world, devotees do not think this is some mythological, symbolic, figurative understanding that will help us to expand our consciousness. I remember in 1971 when I first came to Vrindavan, I was 20 years old, and I was hearing these incredible stories. And it was just so obvious to me. How could I not believe it? If God is here in this world, what is it that he can't do? We already heard how Yashoda Mai, one time, she was little baby Krishna. She was feeding Krishna the milk from her breast. And as she was feeding him, Krishna happened to yawn. His mouth was only about this size. And as he yawned, she just looked in his mouth to see little teeth growing in and whatever else. And she saw the entire universal creation within little Gopal's mouth. How is that possible? Now, you can open your mouth, and I can open my mouth. Sometimes it's better if we don't open our mouths. But what do we see inside? But little baby Krishna, Yashoda saw this whole universe within his mouth, and it wasn't something figurative. If Krishna can manifest the whole universal creation outside of his mouth, then he has the power to manifest it within his mouth, and his mouth is no more than a few inches wide. Why not? What's the use of being God if you can't do all these things? But Krishna does it in Vrindavan in such a special way that Yashoda Mai is seeing the entire universe in Krishna's tiny little mouth. But Krishna doesn't want her to have her motherly affection disturbed, so she is thinking that this must be some sort of disease that Krishna has. And she gets worried about Krishna. What kind of digestion? What is this inside? And then he smiles and she forgets everything. From Gokul Mahavan, after the Yamala Arjuna trees were delivered and Krishna's Damodar Lila, Upananda and the other Gopas, they had a meeting together that Mahavan is not a safe place. Putana, Shakatashura, Trinavarta, now these big trees are falling. I think we should go to a safer place. We should go to Vrindavan, the forest where there is the river Yamuna and there's the Govardhan Hill and the beautiful forest. Let us go there. So they put everything on their ox carts and they traveled to Chatikar and began to travel like that. In the Bandiravan area, Krishna delivered Vatsasura. In the Kadiravan area, he delivered Bakasura. During that time, Krishna was put in charge of the calves. I believe in the last 3 days, you all went to the place of Lord Brahma's bewilderment. This is a very special story for so many reasons. Unlimited reasons. But one special reason is by Krishna and Sri Radharani's grace. It was this story that was Srila Prabhupada's concluding chapter of his translations and commentaries of Srimad Bhagavatam. He translated and dictated the purports during his last days in this world with us. So it has a very special place in our hearts. It begins in a holy place in Vrindavan called Sapoli. Krishna woke up one morning and decided he wanted to leave early with all of his friends and have a picnic on the bank of the Yamuna River in the forests of Vrindavan. So Yashoda Mai bathed him and decorated him with fine garments and with some jewels and put his little peacock feather in his hair. And Krishna was just so beautiful. And he took a horn made of a buffalo's horn, I believe, and he blew that horn to call all of his friends. And soon, hundreds and thousands of little cowherd boys gathered. And each one had large quantities of calves. Now here's where we really meditate on the reality of Krishna's Achintya Shakti. Vrindavan is said to be about 32 square miles. And Krishna had hundreds and thousands of little cowherd boys. And how many calves? The Srimad Bhagavatam says asankhya. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur tells, asankhya means unlimited. What does unlimited mean? We can talk about and think about unlimited, but we have no real conception of what it means for anything to be unlimited because our brains are so limited. It is only through faith and through mercy that we can understand the unlimited. When the unlimited wants to reveal the unlimited, then we can understand the unlimited, and if the unlimited cannot reveal the unlimited to the limited, then he's not unlimited. For those who are translating this, I'm sorry. So we cannot fathom what is unlimited. But Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, on the basis of the Holy Scripture, he gives us a glimpse into what asankhya means. The number 1 with 17 18 zeros after it. Now, my worst subject when I was in school was mathematics. I was pretty good at spelling, but I wasn't good at mathematics. Until I came in contact with the Gaudiya math. But I have to be honest, I was even worse in science. So I tried to calculate. 1 with 17 or 18 zeros is 100 quadrillion. Can anyone fathom 100 quadrillion? That's how many calves were dancing around this 32 square miles of Vrindavan with hundreds and thousands of gopas, and there were no traffic jams. There was just space. Krishna, if he wants, he could put the entire universe within the 32 square miles of Vrindavan, because Krishna has inconceivable potencies. So we don't doubt, is this true? How can it be true? When we hear the more incredible, the more wonderful, the more impossible, the more devotees become happy, raise their arms with tears of affection, and chant the holy names. And each of the boys had their little, Prabhupada calls it a tiffin, their little lunch boxes tied up. Their mothers prepared it for them. And they had their little sticks for herding the calves. And they each had a flute and a buffalo horn. And all their mothers decorated them very nicely before they came to the pastures. But the little boys were jumping and playing. They were all with Krishna. It was early in the morning. And just for the pleasure of Krishna, and Krishna doing it just for the pleasure of the boys, they weren't so much happy, well, not happy. They weren't so much attracted by the way their parents decorated them. They started decorating themselves with leaves and with flowers and with peacock feathers and with minerals. And they were having such wonderful experience, just serving each other, decorating each other. Krishna played on his flute. That flute would mesmerize everyone. Krishna was just a small boy. The elder gopis, they were thinking that because Yashoda Mai, because her love nourishes Krishna's lips with her milk, therefore, empowered by Yashoda Mai's prema, when Krishna plays his flute, it is so sweet. It melts our hearts. And as Krishna played his flute, another cowherd boy would play his horn. And one boy said, that horn sounds very harsh. I will sing just like a kokila, a sweet cuckoo bird. And another cowherd boy, and all of a sudden, all these cowherd boys started singing like cuckoo birds. And then another boy said, cowherd boys are known for their speed, not for their singing. Singing is something that swamis do. Just watch me as I run and follow the shadow of this bird that's flying in the sky. And then hundreds of little cowherd boys started putting their arms out like wings and running exactly under the shadow of the birds. And then some of the boys, they heard the bees humming. And they all started humming like the bees. Can you imagine hundreds and thousands of cowherd boys buzzing like bees? Definitely not unlimited. And they'd see swans in the water, so gracefully moving their necks and their bodies, and the gopas, along with Krishna, were moving their necks and moving their, just like the swans. They saw some little ducks sitting quietly, and the cowherd boys would sit next to the ducks, imitating the ducks. Saw peacocks dancing. And the boys would sing just like the peacocks and dance just like the peacocks. Would you like to try? Louder, please, louder. Quite authentic. Thank you very much. And other boys, they'd see monkeys with their little baby monkeys, with their mother monkeys. They would be sitting on trees, and they wanted to climb the trees, so the boys would grab the tails of the monkeys in order to climb up to the trees. Then they'd sit next to the monkey. And the monkey would make a face toward them, a monkey face, and the boys would exactly replicate the expression of the monkey and look right back at the monkey, and the monkey would become afraid and jump off the tree, and then the boy, exactly with the same gesture as the monkey, would jump off the tree and follow the monkey. And sometimes they'd see little frogs, and they'd sit next to the frog, and the frog would hop, and the little boy would hop, and the frog would hop, and the gopa would hop, and the frog would jump in the lake of water, and the little gopa would jump in a lake of water. And others would go to the lake of water, and they'd see their reflections. And they'd start chastising the reflection. Why are you imitating me? Who are you? What are you doing here? And sometimes they'd go to a well. They'd actually start laughing at their reflection. Then they'd go to a well, and they'd scream down the well, and they'd hear the echo. And they'd go, "Array!" And they'd hear, "Array, ray, 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 ray." And they'd start calling bad names to whoever that echo was. The gopas would just play. Krishna would go to a distant place to look at the beautiful scenery of Vrindavan, and the gopas would say, "I will run and touch Krishna first." And another would say, "No, no, no, I will run and touch Krishna first. I will touch Krishna first." And thousands of gopas were running all to touch Krishna first. And by Krishna's grace, each one is thinking that I touched Krishna first. Krishna can reciprocate and fulfill all the desires of his devotees. They would play so many games with the amalaki fruits. In this way, they spent their time laughing, playing. There's a beautiful verse that Shukadeva Goswami speaks, that the jnanis, they approach the absolute truth as Brahman, the all-pervading, impersonal existence. The yogis as the Paramatma, the Lord who is situated within the heart of every living being. The devotees as the supreme personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes, the worshipable Lord. But these little cowherd boys, due to amassing krita punya, infinite pious deeds, that same Supreme Brahman, they're playing with as an ordinary little child, wrestling with him, dancing for him. Krishna, to please his cowherd boyfriends, he would do anything. The boys would say, dance like a peacock, and Krishna would dance like a peacock, and everybody would start dancing like peacocks with him, and they'd be laughing and laughing and laughing and dancing and singing. This krita punya, this is not material pious activities. True piety is unselfish, unmotivated service that pleases the Lord. They had amassed infinite quantities of such loving service to the Lord to enable them to play with the supreme absolute truth as their dear, most intimate, loving friend. Rupa Goswami tells that somehow or other, just think of Krishna. He will steal our hearts away from all of the causes of suffering and miseries in this world. Rupa Goswami writes, if you are attached to the things of this world, your property, your families, your wealth, anything else that charms your heart, do not go to Keshi Ghat and the bank of the Yamuna. Because if you go there, you will see Govinda playing on his beautiful flute, standing in with his threefold bending form. And when Krishna awakens that vision of himself in your heart, then you become indescribably, endlessly attracted only to that. Krishna tells in Gita, whatever is beautiful in this world is only a particle of a spark of my splendor.